All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how are we doing?
We are doing well. The Bucks are starting to look like the Bucks again. I'm excited on this 5-game win streak that we got going right now.
Yeah, 100%. As our Patrick Beverly calls it, the belt to ass tour. The belt to ass tour is in full swing in Milwaukee. Okay. Last week we were talking about Doc Rivers making way too many excuses. Now I don't even care. Now he can make as many excuses as possible because we're just coming out of the All-Star game really, really hot. Okay. And it really started, and the tone was set in the win against the Minnesota Timberwolves coming out of the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's where it was set, because you saw this team defend at a high level. Okay. You saw this team, the connectivity is kind of starting to come together. So, and I mean, look, I'm not excusing Doc Rivers for making those comments when he did, but by the same token, it is nice to see Milwaukee knocking off a couple of good teams in there. I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers, would it have been a different game with Joel Embiid? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have, for sure. Joel Embiid is a difference maker on that team. And I've never fully believed in the supporting cast around Joel Embiid. I just don't think, okay, you could change out the coach, but the supporting cast at that point, it is what it is. Okay. It's not likely to change. I mean, for goodness sakes, they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. Let that sink in for a sec. Tobias Harris is a decent player, but Jimmy Butler was a dog. And, Philly had, so much young talent. In Joel Embiid's early years with Embiid, Ben Simmons, you get a couple veterans in there, Jimmy Butler, and then Tobias Harris. JJ Redick was on the team at one point, but it's just, now it feels like it's Embiid's team, but they're getting contributions also from Tyrese Maxey. So, and the biggest thing, and kind of as I go into it, is the biggest thing against the 76ers in this victory is that Damian Lillard came alive once again.
He hit 8 for 15. I was looking at the box score again, but yeah, 8 for 15, 4 3-pointers, and this was a huge game. I think you can obviously throw Giannis in there, you can throw Lillard in there, you can even throw Malik Beasley in there, but again, we got the second game coming back from the All-Star break. You just take down the Timberwolves away. Now you have a away game again against the Sixers, and I feel like every game against Philadelphia, whether it's home or away, it always gets chippy. There's always something that happens because of a tense, mini rivalry, I guess you can say, with the Sixers. But yeah, this is a big game from Lillard. Again, was efficient, kind of flirting with the triple-double, a few rebounds shy and 1 assist shy, but overall efficient shooting. Again, stuck in it 100%. Any game or every game. But again, shot more than 50%. His threes were 50%. He looked comfortable. He looked good. And they were able to kind of hold it down both offensively and defensively. I think a big game from Bobby. I'm going to mention this now, and it'll be throughout the entire podcast, especially with the later games. But I remember I think it was before the All-Star break, whatever one we recorded, I mentioned the one thing I want to see is the bench step up. And I really feel like the bench has stepped up in this 5-game win streak, especially in the last, I'll say the Hornets games and that Bulls series, but especially Bobby Portis. He was one of those guys who we were iffy because, again, he was on the trade deadline call. He stepped up a lot. Pat Connaughton, again, he's not going to come out and start scoring 15 to 20 points. That's not Pat Connaughton. That's not what they need him to do. Chipped in a couple shots here or there. I don't know. I'm excited to watch the Bucks game right now. But yeah, the 76ers game was another statement game. Again, you get a win from the Timberwolves. You got to keep it going. And I feel like their defensive mechanisms have continued to work throughout this whole streak because after the game from the Timberwolves, they've held their opponents under 100 in the last 4 games. For me, I don't know. I feel like that's a huge plus for them. Again, coming from a defensive team of giving up 125 to 130 some points every game, and now we're at the point where we're holding teams under 100 consistently. I'm all for it. I think the Bucks look good. This was a good statement game to kind of have to build that win streak going, because obviously you have the 2 games against the Hornets. Those are 2 games that you should win for sure. The Bulls one, again, that's always up in the air. The Bulls are one of those teams where players might not be like superstar level. You got obviously DeRozan, but these are the games they need to win. I think they did it well and exceeded expectations coming from Giannis, Lillard, and Malik Beasley.
I think the biggest catalyst for our defense showing as much improvement as it has coming out of the All-Star break, I'm going to give it to 2 people, actually. I'm actually going to give it to Doc Rivers because he set out to improve this defense. And he really has. Ever since the All-Star break, Milwaukee's like first in most categories. Defensive efficiency, like team defense, all that stuff. But I'm actually also going to give it to Patrick Beverley, and here's why. Because this is who Patrick Beverley is. Okay? Patrick Beverley, with the way he plays defense, like players look at that. Like players on the team look at that, and they're defending on the same level as Patrick Beverley. Okay? Even AJ Green, who was a defensive liability last year, has really stepped up and played, like, really tried a lot harder on that end of the floor. Okay? And I'm also going to give Patrick Beverley credit because Milwaukee now has a true point guard who looks to get other guys involved. Okay? Nothing against Cam Payne, but Cameron Payne's a shoot-first point guard. Okay, he's not a guy who, looks to set other guys up. Patrick Beverley, like when I watch him play, he's setting up Connaughton, he's setting up Bobby Portis. He's setting up he's setting up everybody. Gallinari, like he's setting those guys up, and I think that's kind of been like a huge catalyst for Milwaukee going on this 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, because the big thing, obviously, when the Bucks first got Damian Lillard, the first thing was, oh my gosh, the pick and rolls are going to be like a cheat code kind of thing. And obviously, we've been times where it's like, why don't they use that more? And now that I feel like Damian Lillard is more comfortable, and I feel like his assist numbers are getting a lot higher. Not necessarily like that needs to happen every game, but it's kind of nice to see someone like Lillard with 9 assists this game and Giannis with 9 assists this game. It's like, they still scored 54 points combined at 30 and 24 points, but they still had 9 assists each. So I feel like the amount of contributing they're doing both scoring-wise and off-ball, I feel like are improving, and I feel like no one's talking about it. I feel like Giannis's passing ability this season, and especially in the last few weeks, even a couple months, the passes he's making, I feel like are not getting the recognition they deserve. They did post the one that they had, not like every pass needs to be posted, but the idea of Giannis and his passing ability like Jokic. But the one that he had to end the half, the second and a half full court heave to Brook Lopez right on the money, like that was talked about a lot, but I feel like his passing ability is just getting better and better every season. He had a couple last year and 2 years ago too. But it's something that I feel like is an underrated aspect of Giannis that's slowly starting to bloom a lot more, getting people more involved and still scoring. So this was a really good game, I feel like, overall. Defensively, like I said earlier, but I feel like everyone contributed in a way, whether that was passing, defense, scoring. Obviously, you have Jay Crowder 0 for 4 in 25 minutes, but 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. He had a really good defensive game, and it really sucks because had he scored 6 points, I feel like overall that would have been one of his best games just because he's such a defensive liability in that starting rotation with Chris Middleton out. I feel like he's kind of getting underappreciated just because of his lack of scoring. Again, that's not what he's here to do, but when he still takes 4 shots and people see that 0 for 4, I feel like everyone discourages everything that he did that game. But his defensive liability, I feel like, is huge this season, especially in this win streak, and it's starting to go kind of under the radar. And I'm excited to kind of hope that it continues. Obviously, it's not going to be there every single game, but a lot of his defensive skills have been showing out as of recently in this win streak, and I feel like it's going to take him a long way skill-wise if, again, Chris Middleton's hurt.
Yeah, and the other thing that I noticed too, watching this game, is that they were really going at the bigs of Philadelphia. Without the defensive stoppage Joel Embiid in there, like Paul Reed had 5 fouls early in that game, like in the third quarter, and they don't really have like another backup because. Like once Mo Bamba came in, it was barbecue chicken immediately.
Yeah. That was, yeah. I'm looking at their. It's really Mo Bamba is their only listed center that showed or played. Everyone else is a forward. But again, in the long run, is Mo Bamba going to be the guy to hold this team down? And that's clearly a no.
Oh God, no. I mean, when he came in, like in that third quarter, Milwaukee was like torching him.
Again, not a bad player, but not a guy who can hold the fort down for a good chunk of time. He only played 11 minutes, but yeah, when you got your other bigs in foul trouble early, that I feel like in a lot of these games helped out the Bucks a lot. But yeah, this was one of those games where they held their shooters to low amounts or high amounts of shots, low amounts of makes. Again, Kelly Oubre, Melton, Tobias Harris. You can kind of even throw in Buddy Hield, Tyrese Maxey. Again, took a lot of shots, didn't make a lot of them. Only shot, no, that's their three-pointer, 36 and 97, so only held them to 37%. Again, can't complain about this game. I think overall a good kind of bounce-back game from the Timberwolves win again. Again, just kind of keeping that streak going, kind of getting the flow with shots and also defense because Timberwolves game, again, it was a close one, but still holding your team to about under 110 points for that one.
Yep, so solid win for Milwaukee, 119-98. Moving on to the next game.
This is pretty good, personally.
Next game against the Charlotte Hornets, Milwaukee won that matchup 123-85 at home against the Hornets. We're actually going to take a quick peek at the box score to see like the different numbers.
Yep, the first half score for the Charlotte Hornets I think is the main thing to point out. They held them to 16 points in the first quarter. They scored 32. So you got that 16-point lead early. But I feel like a lot of that's like, okay, well, that could disappear super quick. Then you throw in a 10-point second quarter. They held them to 26 points in the first half.
Which, by the way, is the lowest in the NBA this season.
Yes, the 10 points and like the total score for the half, yeah, they're lowest. So it was like, oh, they held them to 16, like cool, and then all of a sudden it gets 6 points better. And yeah, like I couldn't watch this game live right away. I had to start at the half, but getting that notification, I'm like, wait. It wasn't yeah. Anyways, it was kind of a starstruck kind of moment where it's like, whoa, they actually held them, but everyone did something again this game. I got to look at the Bucks. That's because they were the home team. So they're at the bottom.
Yeah, look at this. Giannis, 24 points in 24 minutes. Okay, let's see what else we got. Bobby Portis, 21 points in 20 minutes. Like, this is how bad it was. Giannis only played like 24 minutes. Yeah. Where, in case you guys are unaware, that's not a lot in an NBA game.
That's 2 quarters.
We were beating him up so bad that did he even play in the second half?
I don't think so. It was very minimal.
Like, look at this. This is not good. Like, this how you know it's bad. If Thanasis is playing 12 minutes, Gallinari's chipping it. I mean, look at this.
Yes,
25, 26. Nobody played over 30 minutes. Yeah. That's how much we were beating the Charlotte Hornets.
This was the game where obviously, I feel like for the Bucks, it's always a double-ended sword where it's like they destroy the Hornets and people are like, oh, well, it's the Hornets. Like, you're supposed to do that. But then if they lose to the Hornets, like, oh, how could you lose to the Hornets? So I feel like no matter what the outcome was, this game, I feel like the Bucks will always get like kind of like I don't know, thrown under the radar about it. But this was the game. Again, Hornets or not, don't have LaMelo Ball, blah blah blah. You're supposed to win. But this was the game I felt like the bench really did step up. Now, any team can beat any team can beat any team at any moment. Again, as we know from the Grizzlies game, I think that Grizzlies team was worse than this Hornets team. Me personally.
Absolutely.
But this was a game where I felt like the bench really stepped up. Obviously, Chris Livingston only played 6 minutes, took 2 shots, hit 0 points. Okay, fine. Thanasis, again, took 2 shots, missed both of them, both his free throws. Okay, you're not expecting that from him anyways. But Patrick Beverley, 7 points. Pat Connaughton, 9 points. Not the best 3-point shooting game, but kind of chipped on the other end too. Had a 5 assists, few rebounds as well. AJ Green, 8 points. Bobby, 21, like you said. Gallinari, 8. Marjan, 7. It's like everyone was scoring. That wasn't one person. Again, Giannis 23 or 24 and Lillard 23. Okay, cool. That's kind of expected because, they're the superstars. But I felt like everyone was contributing at some point, except for Brook Lopez, me personally. 2 blocks, 2. Again, okay, we'll throw him on the defensive side, but scoring, he had 0. He only took 2 shots. But I felt like that was a really good kind of team chemistry game. They were able to keep their lead for that entire game. It's usually like you get a big lead and then sometimes it kind of chips away. But they went up 49 points at one point in the game. And then you win by 38, something like that. Quick math. I wasn't a math major. But again, third quarter, they gave up 38 points. Okay, cool. That was kind of bound to happen. Giannis isn't playing a lot. Lillard's not playing. So again, things are going to happen like that. But you beat them by 38 points. At one point, the Bucks' margin of score was more points than what the Hornets had. So I felt like this was just one of those games where you did what you're supposed to do, and you exceeded expectations once again, like that 76ers game. I enjoyed watching this. I love watching a blowout. I love watching everyone score consistently and watching everyone score. Sure, it's cool to watch one guy score a lot, but kind of see everyone kind of click together. It's always a fun game to watch. I would say MVP for me. Again, you could throw it to Giannis, you can throw it to Lillard, but I'm going to give it to Bobby Portis. Again, coming off the bench, plus minus a 34. 8 rebounds, almost a double-double, a couple offensive rebounds, a couple threes. So he came out to play, and again, he's continuing to show why it was kind of nice to keep him. Again, he was one of those guys where it's like, do we trade him? Do we not? But he's been holding his own the last few games, and I feel like this is one of those games scoring-wise and playing on the boards as well was a big pick-me-up game for him as he's coming out of the All-Star break. Super fun game to watch from him.
It was just a fun game. It was just a fun game to watch overall. And here's the thing: Charlotte's not very good this year. Okay, they really haven't been relevant in the basketball space for probably over, I'd say, 2 decades. So it's just, they're not like Charlotte's. I know people are looking at it. It's like, oh my god! As soon as they acquired Grant Williams, they're 5-0. It's like, come on, dude. Really, nobody. Grant Williams is not a game changer on your team. Okay, he had 28 minutes and 4 points. He's not a game changer. All right. Can he take on that fake tough guy role? Sure, but Charlotte's just Charlotte was putrid offensively. They got pieces. But LaMelo Ball has been, and that's the funny thing is people are like, oh my god, imagine if the Warriors selected LaMelo Ball, and it's just well, they would have had the same problems that they do now. Mm-hmm. LaMelo Ball doesn't play in a lot of basketball games. He's missed a lot of time due to injury. So, I mean, yeah, LaMelo Ball when he's out there, he's extremely talented. But the problem is his greatest weakness has been his availability. He's missed a lot of time over the past 3 seasons. So, I mean, they got talented players. Nick Richards, I think, is very talented. Trey Mann, I think, dropped in about 14, 18 points. Mm-hmm. Brandon Miller, the number 2 overall pick, he's talented. But I mean, they got pieces.
They just need a bigger piece.
They tried to add that with Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. They thought those guys would be the missing pieces.
Yep.
But
yeah, Gordon Hayward did not.
That did not pan out. He was just looking for a bag. And look, when you really think about it, it's just like Charlotte's not really a destination to go in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody wants to go to nobody's like the only way the Hornets get free agents is if they overpay for them. Okay, like they've given in the past Nicholas Batum big contract. They've given like Marvin Williams big time contracts. Like they gave Terry Rozier a big time contract. They gave Gordon Hayward a big time contract. The only way Hornets have gotten free agency in the past is if they throw them like $70-80 million
from a one good year season from some of these guys.
So, I mean, look, Milwaukee is just miles better than Charlotte right now. Okay, but it was a solid one. Not really surprising the fact that it was at home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything really else to say besides they slaughtered them, and that's again what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to like beat them by this many points every single time you play them, but winning by a large margin, I feel like should be a noteworthy thing to happen in one of these kinds of games.
Yeah. So
let's run it back though with Charlotte. Let's keep that fun NBA schedule going, and let's play the Hornets away 2 days later after we played them home for another win. Fun fact for you. A little closer, but again, still held them under 100 points. So you can't have that game every single time. 111-99 win against Charlotte.
It's the thing is, and I don't usually agree with him on this. Oh wait, actually, I think he was saying it in a different level. I was about to say the Devin Booker no back-to-backs thing, but the part that I want to highlight is like I just don't understand why the NBA schedules it like sometimes you have to play the same team 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's I think that's incredibly dumb. I don't know why it's scheduled like that, but it's legitimately the dumbest thing that the NBA does. I've never understood it. I don't understand why they think, hey, why don't you just play the same team twice? Like, is this almost like a charity thing where it's like, well, you got to give them a chance to beat you? Because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, of course there was going to be like a little closer because like it was Charlotte at home. They literally just saw the Bucks. Mm-hmm. So they literally have all of our tendencies in the back of their mind. So,
and they also played them earlier in February too. 3 of their games were in February.
And we've dominated. And luckily, Charlotte's like so bad. Like they could play Milwaukee 100 times, and Milwaukee would probably beat them 100 times out of 100 because Charlotte's just simply not good. And Milwaukee has dominated against the Hornets.
Yep, every single game was a blowout, but this last one.
So, and I mean, look, that's a. It was. If this is how close Charlotte could keep it, then I guess that should be considered a win for them. But we still beat them by 12 points.
Yeah, it's held them to under 100 again. Sure, Bucks scoring wasn't the best, but again, you can't have that kind of game every single time. But hey, they still weren't scoring. Looking at their box scores again, I think the really big thing is. I'm looking at the first 2 guys, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges. 21 shots from Brandon Miller, 18 from Bridges. And again, you got 2 guys shooting too many, and then some other guys are just, not taking any shots. You got 4, 6, 5, 3 from a few of these guys. So, I mean, Davis Bertans take 3 shots in his 14 minutes. I feel it's kind of crazy because, again, he's one of those spot-up 3-point shooters. You never know when he could just kind of pop off, but it's a heavy load, and I feel like it's a Giannis type stat from 6 years ago where he's taking the majority of the shots. Again, fine with me though. It's not my team, but it's always weird seeing those guys take an absurd amount of shots over everyone else.
Well, they just don't have a lot of talent right now.
And miss a lot of them too.
I mean, of course, when you're always picking high in the NBA draft, like generally speaking,
that's going to be your best guy.
Yeah. Of course, Brandon Miller has to take a majority of the shots because who else would you have? Like, what is Trey Mann going to take 20 shots? Like he has to. It's almost like, dude, well, you're the number 2 overall pick. Like, we need you to be the guy.
And it's starting to pan out.
So
Not the
I don't.
best. Yep.
I don't know. I really don't know what more I can add to this game. Nothing noteworthy really happened. I actually just I watched it. It wasn't like
Yeah, no, nothing flashy, nothing that was like, yeah, worth noting. Again, just a good win. That's
yeah.
all they came here to do. Again, that not a back-to-back day, but back-to-back games of them playing each other. So again, you got pretty straight out or kind of stretched out shooting. Again, Jay Crowder had 4 points, but again, it's not what he's here to do. I don't know. That's all I really got.
Yeah,
Nothing
me too.
crazy.
So, all right, next up, Chicago Bulls. I'm gonna kind of go ahead and share that particular box score as well.
Yeah, this was the game to watch. Even though it was a 9 o'clock game, which kind of irritates me that they always give the Bucks the shit times for these 9 o'clock games for a team that plays an hour and a half or 2 hours from each other on the same time zone. Anyways,
Giannis dropped a cool 46 points in 37 minutes. That's insane.
yeah, 46, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, throwing a block and a steal. Only 1 turnover, which I feel like is. I was going to mention one of the games. A lot of turnovers, I think, from Lillard and Giannis. What game was that? The 76ers game. But yeah, low turnover game. I feel like for the team overall, only had 7. But this game got chippy, and I feel like that always happens with the Bucks and the Bulls. I wouldn't say it's that Chicago-Milwaukee rivalry. I feel like it's just Grayson Allen hurting Alex Caruso. But I think AJ Green's my favorite player. But I think after that hit he took from Vucevic last night and got up, he's a dog. That I think granted him that certification of a dog. He got up, he's like, I'm good. He walked it off. He had a little swagger to his walk. He's like, I'm good. Took a shot from Vucevic last night. That was like the the cherry on top from everything else that happened prior. But that was a good dogfight game. Shots were going in for Milwaukee. Everything I feel like that happened in a negative fashion favored the Bucks, which I feel like it usually doesn't. Kind of starting off with Pat Beverly and Bobby Portis getting a little chippy with some of these guys. Bobby got a rebound over DeRozan. DeRozan flopped, and Bobby kind of stared him down. That kind of started the chippiness, and that's what I like to see in basketball. But yeah, just a good back and forth fight, I think, against the Bucks and Bulls.
And Patrick Beverly, like this was like kind of like a Pat Bev like legacy game because not only was he part of the chippiness, but he also like went on a personal like 6-8-0 run by himself.
12-0 run, I think he had. I think that was the highest he had was the 12-0 run, and then I forgot he's from Chicago too. He's played for the Bulls. Once he did that, he looked at everyone. He's like, "I'm that guy." Everyone was booing him. Oh my gosh, that was fun. That was fun.
Well, so I love Pat Bev, man. You know what? He's like, and again, I don't expect that too many times out of Patrick Beverly, but
no, but it's fun to see when it does happen.
But that happening against the Chicago Bulls, that was like.
That was it. Kind of started off. He had some like chippy plays, like when the Bulls were bringing up the half court. It's like you just get over the line, you just get a little aggressive defense. I think Bobby was doing that too. But yeah, then Patrick Beverly just had a couple threes in a row. A couple floaters where it was his game, and we were all just watching him play. But I think the chippiness of that just kind of like heats them up a little more. It kind of gets them going again. They're on that win streak. Bulls obviously would want to end a win streak. I'm rushing myself, especially against the Bucks, I-94 rival or whatever you want to call it. But I think overall this is one of my favorite games to watch this season. I love the aggressiveness of it, and I felt like this was one of those games where it shows that the Bucks are on their way of being back. Obviously, they're on a win streak. He had a couple easy wins, but their upcoming schedule, I feel like, will be a good test. but these were kind of those statement games where it's like these games you need to win, and they're heating themselves up a little bit. And I felt like with that momentum pushing, I feel like they can make a little run, not like some huge long win streak, but like I don't know. I hope they can win like 8 of their next 10, or it's like you don't have a long win streak, but you kind of win the games that you need to win. I felt like that's important moving forward, especially as the season's not ending, but it's slowly starting to wind down a little bit before the playoffs. But I don't know. I feel like this is one of the games that kind of heats them up moving forward into their next upcoming trip.
Well, Evan is so glad that you brought that up because I'm going to share what the upcoming schedule looks like. So, as I look at it, it's going to be kind of a gauntlet, a mini gauntlet here. So tomorrow they play against the LA Clippers. Okay, then they go on the road to the Warriors, on the road to the Lakers. Then a nice little 2:00 matinee against the Clippers. And then Kings. Yeah, this is gonna be a tough schedule coming up here.
Yep, you got 5 games against California teams, 4 of them being away in a row, which sucks because you got 3 9:00 games again. I hate the 9:00 games. The games end at midnight. I get annoyed. Anyways, but yeah, I always see it as okay. The Clippers are kind of hot right now. You can't always count out the Clippers. I know Russell Westbrook just got hurt. I think he has a fractured hand. I read today. But you can't count out James Harden. Same with the Warriors. The Warriors aren't doing too hot, but you can't count out Curry. He can drop 10 threes. He can hold his own. Same with the Lakers again, LeBron. And then you got the Clippers again. Then you got the Kings. You got Sabonis. You got Fox. You got Keegan Murray, who's shooting lights out from 3. So I'm looking at the schedule and I'm not enjoying what I'm seeing as I look down further once I scroll a little more, because then you come back to the Celtics. Nets, the Nets are the Nets, but then you got the Thunder, you got the Lakers again. They're home games, most of them, but it's going to be a tough stretch from, I don't know, let's say from March 4th to the end of the month. We'll say the entire month of March is going to be tough, but it'll kind of prove, I think, further on of how well they can hold some of these teams down to kind of show what could potentially be like in the playoffs. Not necessarily playing these teams, because a lot of them are Western Conference teams, but we'll kind of see, I think, overall of what kind of competition they're able to kind of flirt with, whether it's a win or a loss.
Yeah, they're for sure going to go through some adversity. Absolutely. And the only reason why I say that is because it is a difficult schedule, and you're right. This is going to kind of see what they're made of, because as much fun as a 5-game win streak's been, it's really largely been against 2 winning teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's been against the Timberwolves. Okay, and it's been against the 76ers. They beat the Hornets and then they beat the Bulls. It's this is really going to be the true test of the season.
Yeah, and it's of course it's against teams. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the Lakers and the Warriors aren't doing too hot this year, but they have these pretty good players on their team who are more than capable of going off at any time that they want. And I feel like Curry, whether the team sucks, it's always Steph Curry. Whether the Lakers suck, it's always LeBron or it's always Anthony Davis. You always have that one guy on the team or 2 guys on the team who could clearly win you a game, even though everyone else on the team sucks. Because we've obviously seen that with the Bucks, where Giannis drops 55 and the next leading scorer is 14. So we've seen it happen before on our end. But again, it'll be a test with some of these teams, because whether they're all around a good team or, they only have 1 or 2 guys, that all it takes is that one guy to kind of go off and kind of boost that team. Like the Lakers and Warriors, I think those are going to be some 2 key games to kind of hope that they can win, because, games like that are the ones where it's again, depending on the franchise, depending on the players, you always want to win against teams, who aren't playing as hot overall. But I think the biggest game, though, is it kind of disappeared on me. will be March 20th. Again, you play the Celtics away. Last time the Bucks blew out the Celtics home. So again, we kind of hope that you got to play a close game in Boston. But yeah, this month of March is going to be tricky. It's going to be tough, but I'm excited just because I like some high competitive games of basketball. I feel like every basketball fan can say that.
Yep. So, Evan, you got anything else?
Nothing too noteworthy. I know you said you had one more thought. Got our boy Damian Lillard in the news.
I didn't want to mention it because it was so stupid, and
Okay.
like I don't want to do a story of like people just always trying to
Sure.
just trying to keep on the stupid narrative that he doesn't like it in Milwaukee. Here's what I'm going to say real quick to put a bow on this. It's not that he doesn't like it in Milwaukee, okay? It's just his whole family's in Portland, and he lives in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
that's literally the crux of it. That is the biggest nothing burger ever. Okay, obviously everybody knows that when you move cities, you don't just move your entire family right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, especially when he has kids in school. All right, he's got kids. Kids live in Portland. Okay, he's going through a divorce right now, so obviously you're not going to move your entire family to the city you live in like right away. That's literally the biggest thing with every athlete is, oh well, my wife and her family are still out in, say if you could trade in Milwaukee. Oh well, my wife and her family are still out in Phoenix, and like, that's just like that's a normal story.
Yep, they're trying to get something out of nothing.
It's so stupid.
So that's all I got, though. That's all I got.
That's all I had too. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll see you guys potentially this week or next week.